Alright, so we're back on Camp Crystal Lake, Friday the 13th.
They shouldn't be
Just
here,
something
Jason.
I keep coming
Stop them.
across in chats as far as Halloween the game is concerned. This isn't a dev defense stream and it's not drama. It's about how the horror game actually survives or fails. If the Halloween game collapses, I don't believe it'll automatically be the developer's fault, and I want to explain why. This stream is not comparing Halloween to Dead by Daylight, and I've been removing those comments from a lot of my posts here recently because they derail the conversation, and I'll explain that in a minute. Let's talk about Friday the 13th, since that's the game I'm streaming as I'm holding this live stream conversation. Development didn't stop because the devs quit, it stopped because a rights lawsuit legally froze all new content. No new killers, no new maps, no balance updates, and the game survived for almost 10 years. That happened because the community stayed, and that's a really important part of the conversation that a lot of people decide they want to look past when they bring up games like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Killer Clowns. You know, now look what happens today with those games. The game launches, people hype them for 2 weeks, and then they call them dead. Players leave, queues die, and the devs get blamed. You can't abandon the game and then complain that it was abandoned. At the end of the day, when it comes to games like these, if the fan base isn't loyal to it and they have no problem just easily walking away from the game, the devs are going to do the same thing. They're going to move on to something else because they're going to see it as, oh, this didn't work, so we need to do something else. Halloween hasn't even launched yet, and people are already deciding its fate. It doesn't need to beat anything. It just needs a community willing to support it like Friday the 13th had. Dead by Daylight, and why I'm removing the comparison to that, Dead by Daylight's nearly a decade old at this point. It's a platform with built-in momentum, licenses, and sunk-in cost loyalty. Comparing a brand new game to that on day one isn't fair or useful. Was on track to being before the lawsuit shut everything down. We as a fan base need to show up and make that happen. If Halloween fails despite real support, then talk about the devs. If it does because people quit early, that's on the community. 100% on the community. And I want to be clear about something too. This isn't about blaming people. This isn't about blaming the fan base at the end of the day. This isn't about blaming the devs at the end of the day. This is about showing up. If you want to see it succeed, if you want to see it actually become something good, show up. Make it something good. If something doesn't work, that's where the community comes in and we call that out and get the fixes we want. And if we don't, then we have that conversation about devs. But I think people have gotten a little too comfortable blaming the devs, especially with Halloween the game looming on the horizon. Friday the 13th is a good blueprint, and I take that apart in a lot of the content I've posted as well. Stating, oh, this is just a copy and paste, so it's just Friday the 13th with the Halloween skin. It's not. If you've watched any of the trailers they've released so far, you can tell it's not. It's not meant to be a Friday the 13th clone. It's a blueprint for sure, yeah, absolutely. But it's not a clone, it's not a reskin. I'm sorry, but as I'm walking around here in Crystal Lake, I'm not really seeing a whole lot of Haddonfield here. And as I've watched the trailers that I've released so far, and I've seen the survivors, and I've seen some of the movements that they've made, I don't see the comparison being accurate. We still haven't actually seen a whole lot of Survivor gameplay either, so for people to make comparisons like that is just astounding to me. I don't understand it. And I would love for somebody to challenge me with something that isn't based on a perspective of comparing it to Dead by Daylight or trying to say it's just a reskin of Friday the 13th. I'm more than welcome to those conversations. The conversations I'm not having any further though on my channel is any kind of comparison to Dead by Daylight, because these games aren't even remotely the same as far as the platform. The fan base is completely different. And to be completely honest, I'm probably going to say I'm glad they removed the Halloween chapter from Dead by Daylight. Because in the 10 years that Halloween was on Dead by Daylight, they did what with it? I'm sorry, but if you look at Michael Myers, that skin is probably one of the worst Michael Myers skins I've seen in game. Even Fortnite did a better job. Laurie Strode was fine. Her skin was pretty accurate. But what I don't like, I don't see, is I don't understand the comparison. You can't compare them. From the moment they showed that first trailer of Michael walking out of the house, it was over if you wanted to compare it to Dead by Daylight. And I am open to having these conversations. As far as what the devs should do if the game starts to crumble, if we stick around, that is. And if we don't, you don't get to blame the devs. You just don't. It's not the devs' fault what happened to Friday the 13th. That was outside their control. It's not the devs' fault about what happened with Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Killer Clowns. Fanbase collapsed. Did those games have issues when they came out? Of course they did. They absolutely had issues. But did you stick around to see if it was going to get fixed? Or were you guys expecting an overnight fix? Because that's what I'm getting from this. Especially with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That game specifically, people were expecting an overnight fix. And when that didn't happen, they moved on to other stuff, and the devs took that as, oh, so they've given up, so we need to move on. I want to see Halloween the game succeed to the same extent that Friday the 13th did. That's what I want. But what it's going to take is a community strong as Friday the 13th had to make that happen. And if you guys aren't going to stick around and help with that, you can't point fingers. You can't.
Jason's killing my friend.
You get to look in a mirror. Because at the end of the day, that's the community's fault.